think
Okay.
yeah, he's here in Austin. He's here in San Antonio. No, not San Antonio, my God, Texas,
All
Austin.
right. We're Chad. We're actually online. I'm looking at everything. Everything looks good on this end. So it looks like we're here
Seeing,
with Big Green Real Estate Talk. Today we're going to be talking about how to pick your real estate agent or what to look for in a real estate agent for that matter. So these are all things that we've probably covered a couple of times in different capacities, but we're kind of bringing it to the table all as one today. And I know, just so you guys know, we're doing a little bit of early morning top it off. I know those who were expecting us on Thursday. Well, I will tell you the market's booming, and so we are just busy. So that I say that just to kind of get you guys out there that we will be making things and doing replays. So I just want to let you guys know. Thank you for listening, and you can always find the replays on Facebook or our YouTube channel. So Chad, you want to start it off and see where you want to go with this whole? Let's pick it out. Let's start with the. What do you think? The listing or the buyer side? How you want to go with
we can go with the buyer side. Go with
it?
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So
Tell me what you think on the buyer side. Let's see. I'm curious. Like I said, one of the best things is that we all look for different things when we're doing this. So, some of the things that you've noticed, because I guess the best way to kind of really structure this and to understand this is that being in the business like we are and we know what we do. And I just had a conversation with Chad not too long ago, but it's like we know that we're doing everything that we possibly can, but it's always the hardest to find another us, right? And
yeah,
and that is the hardest thing because we know that that's the way it goes. But we see things that are awesome, and we also see things that are not so awesome. So, Chad, what are some of those things that you feel that are like great things and some bad things that you've seen on with the buyer agents? Or I think that's the way you were going,
yeah.
right?
So to help buyers out, when you're trying to figure out where to start in the journey, sometimes you just start looking at houses and you think that's where you start. But part of that process, you have to learn who you want to work with during the journey that you're going to be partaking in with somebody because you don't know what you don't know. And if you get into a situation with somebody that you don't vibe with or don't, um, understand or don't like to, maybe you don't have the same type of wavelength. So listen, a good place to start, some people say Zillow, some people say Trulia, some people say realtor.com because they look and see, okay, I like this house. Let me contact the listing agent, the person who listed the house. Let me see if I like them. Or you see those little pop up ads, cute little faces, right? And then of
Yeah.
course you got all these gorgeous women out here that just want to be all over the place too on Zillow and on your Facebook and everything like that. You got to figure out just because they look good doesn't mean they're going to get the job done. Okay, that's first of all. So second of all, you got to make sure you vibe with somebody that um, that is a bulldog negotiator and that can work in your corner. Okay, so one of these things is one of my friends, he actually told me he's like, when I found you on Zillow because he was looking at a house, he liked the house, he looked at my profile, he saw I had some reviews. So some people base it off of reviews, right? Some people base it off of Google. I've had a few calls off of Google as well. And what that means is people are looking at my reviews and I spend time getting with my clients. I ask my clients, I say, hey, how could I have done my job better for you? How could I have supported you more? And when you start to get into those conversations and deepening the relationships, it naturally trickles over into Zillow and all those other ones. But um, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, it's not too hard. There's also websites like HomeASAP, I think .com. There's a couple other ones. You know, RealSatisfied.com. They use strategies such as helping agents grow their business by recommending them on their websites. And of course, some pay, some don't. Um, and currently, I don't pay for that type of advertisement. I just get my advertisement from all the listings that I have. on the market. So that helps me grow my business that way. But
So that's something I'll bring up too. It's like, you want to make sure that you got somebody, one, that you're really vibing with, meaning that you feel like they're in your best interest. It's not just about the dollar to them. That's the biggest thing. And we got to understand too that there's certain steps, and I'm talking about from the buyer side too. Like, I know a lot of buyers get discouraged when a realtor says, or asks rather, "Oh, do you got a pre-approval letter? Because we're going to need that before we go out to look at a property." Well, guys, anybody that's out there, if you do not have that pre-approval letter, you're wasting a lot of time with the realtor. And the realtors, they're just going to get discouraged if you don't have this. And it's going to be very hard because you got to remember, I mean, majority of us do this for a full-time living. This is how we do it. And I'm only saying this part of it because it's important to have that letter, because if you do like that house, and what's discouraging for the realtor is that they're truly trying to make the effort to help you and you like the house, but they can't even put the offer in on the house because you don't have the letter. And then what happens from there is now we got to wait for that letter to come in. It's not always quick. It just depends on certain circumstances. And basically they're getting discouraged because now somebody else already tied it up, especially with the way the market is today. Houses, there's just not enough inventory sometimes, and this is where it's at. So with that being said, from being on the buyer agent side, as I've seen, let me kind of, and these are things that people got to really look out for, I guess is the best way of saying. But you don't want to, if you don't have, like, for example, one of the things I would bring up is this, is if you feel that there's a couple questions to ask, right, when you're working. So it depends. Are you looking for a house? These are things you got to think about. Are you looking for a house? Are you looking for land? Are you just scoping out the area, right? So there's a couple questions, and these couple of questions will help determine if that realtor is going to be the best for you, right? So some of the questions I kind of go into is like, okay, first and foremost, how long you've been in this area working? That would be my first one. How long you been in the area working as a real estate agent? Well, if they say I've only been in the area for working, a month, but they lived their whole life, well, they're probably still a good agent because they know the area, right? Just because they only been working for 1 month. The other thing is, do you have a team that works with you? Do you have somebody else that's going to be with you to know the paperwork, to know whatever else it is? Because because I'll tell you, I mean, I think I've told this story on here before. It's like, rookie mistake here is, I go through a scenario where my very first house that I sold is, we didn't go through the inspection period. Well, we went through the inspection period, but no inspection was done. So I had to do the inspection afterwards. Thank God everything turned out all right. And I lucked out, but it was a great learning lesson for me. And I'm sure it was a great learning lesson for my broker to help me next time. So, I mean, stuff like that sometimes happens. It's not that they didn't help. They just happened to be busy just as much as I was at the time.
Right.
But anyways, the point being is that it's a very thing, you got to ask questions. And by the way, don't feel bad, because I'd rather people tell me. I'd rather people say, hey, listen, I already got a realtor. Okay, thank you. But now be prepared. Don't, if you have, because I get this all the time, Chad. I don't know how much you get this, but I get it all the time. If you live an hour away and you're trying to buy, or 2 hours away and you're trying to buy in the area that you're going to, but your realtor down there says, go up there and use theirs and then come back. That's kind of not good. That's not a good thing to do, because the person taking the time to actually help you is the person that you should try to stick with, and not just play both sides. Remember, it costs you nothing to use as a buyer. It costs you nothing to use a realtor, guys. Nothing. It's nothing. It's honest to goodness. It doesn't cost you nothing. So the question becomes, are you going to sit there and are you going to, how to put this? Are you going to just continue the process of going through stuff, not knowing the process, and hope it all pans out for your biggest purchase you're going to make in your life? That's the
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
you know?
Sometimes it just goes down to chemistry. It's just like dating, for God's sakes. You gotta do I blend well with this person? You know,
Yeah. And,
talk, and then here's another thing, real quick.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people don't know this, but it's our job as realtors to make sure that you're educated. What I even tell people sometimes, I say, feel free to interview someone else. You have to be honest. You have to be honest with them. They can see right through you. Feel free, but I'm going to be the one here for you. The only difference is me. You know, and you need to talk to a lender. You need to talk to a lender. You need to educate. And so if the realtor's not doesn't have your best interest at heart, sometimes I take that as a sign. Well, what's his intention? You know.
Well, something else that I find interesting here of late, just because I've been dealing with a couple builders and new construction, which is, by the way, buyers. I know you guys think that you're going to get a better deal. I laugh. I don't mean to, but I hear this all the time.
You pay maximum value for that.
Yeah, the buyers think that they're going to get a better deal if they walk into the builder without the realtor. Why? Because they think because if they don't have to pay the commission, that they can get that tacked on to the discount. That's a myth, guys. You're paying top dollar no matter what. Okay.
Right.
That, like I told you from the very beginning, it costs you nothing to get a realtor. Just telling you, it costs you nothing. So here was my other point with this. With a realtor, one of the biggest things is, and in general, is that we have a large network of individuals that are in the real estate business because this is what we do. Now, let me just give you an example. I'm going to talk about my team that I currently am building in a way that it kind of works right now, right? So, and I know if my team's going to listen to this later, I'm just, I'll say sorry now. Now I'm playing. We got it real good right now with things that we're working on to build it stronger. But here's what I will tell you is that if you got somebody that is, like the way I look at it is, if my team member has a question, the first point of contact is, guess who? Me. So they come back to me and I answer the question. Because here's the thing, how come they're able to do that? Because they know me, and I'm now part of their network, right? That's the way it works. And then here's the thing, if they call me up, like I had one for land yesterday, you call me up and they say, okay, how much do you think, and because it's not an area they work. So it's like, how much you think this property is in this area or whatever? I said, give me the address. I'm driving. I'm not in front of my computer. I said, just give me the address. I quoted a price off because I know the address. I know the area. This is the kind of stuff you got to know off the top if you're working the area. Now, in her defense, she's not working the area. But my point being is that it's a resource. I am a resource for somebody. When you're a resource for somebody, that's a wonderful thing in this business because everybody's connected, networking to ensure that we have all the information that we need to help the individual, which is the customer, which is you as a buyer. So if you think, and I'm just telling you, if you think that you don't need an agent and you've done this and that, listen, all I'm trying to say is now's not. By the way, something else I want to bring up too is so if you guys didn't hear, I wasn't gonna my love for Zillow is very little, which is probably slim to none, for many reasons, which if you guys listen to my podcast, you'll hear me bash them all the time. But anyways, the point being is Zillow just now went to full-time brokers. Chad, did you hear about this already or no?
Yes, sir.
So Zillow went to full-time brokers. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is this very reason. So I'm not sure what their business model is on their end yet in regards to that. But here's what I will, buyer beware is my point. So when you go into, Zillow in the past, let me just kind of tell these, because there's still tons of people that don't know, is that Zillow was a platform where, in which they still take realtors' money. They got the premier agent scenario still going on. It's still a vendor that's still going to be part of their business model. Just it's going to be changed dramatically. Probably not in the favor of the premier agent. But what happens is agents would pay into this for advertisement. What that meant is that when we pay into that, is that we would then they would give us people that were looking at certain houses. Now, also when we list houses as agents, we had the option to not list it with Zillow anymore, or not list it. Well, now that they're a brokerage, if they're not a premier agent or whatever, however that business model is going to work, you could be working with whomever based on you going through Zillow. Here's the reason why I'm telling all this is that you got to remember, going back to the very beginning of this conversation about, picking the realtor, right? You got to know that we work by the deal, right? We don't work on a salary. We work by the deal. So we got to ensure that the deal goes flawless throughout the whole procedure, right? Because the idea is to ensure that you're happy with what you're getting, to ensure that all terms are met with the contract. I don't know if Zillow has been over a period of time building this up to only get, because there is talks that they're going to be on a salary. That's why I'm bringing this up. Is that there's going to be talks about that. Now, rumor. I know I'm always bashing Zillow, but what I will tell you is just this goes back to what the whole topic is about. Making sure you pick the right realtor, because I'm going to tell you something. It's just like when you go, let me give you one other example. And this is non-real estate even involved, just so you guys can get the picture. All right. So let me put it to you this way. If you guys go and get something at Walmart, okay, you got an hourly employee at Walmart. Now, I'm not bashing all hourly employees at Walmart. I'm just trying to give an example of stuff that I have seen, okay? And what happens is that they're standing there and doing nothing, but yet they're getting paid. Okay. Now that's just not Walmart. That's it happens in every field that somebody's getting paid an hourly wage. It's just the way it is. And I'm not bashing you. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. So the whole thing is when that time comes, and then you got somebody who's getting paid by the job, what's their thing? They're trying to hurry up, make sure you're satisfied, and move on to the next one. But notice what I said. Make sure you're satisfied. Because if you're not satisfied, what happens? He can't move on, or she can't move on to the next job. It just can't happen, because then you got to worry about that job. And then there's still remnants of everything happening behind them. With an hourly employee, they just go at their own pace. And that's what they're there for, guys. And I'm not bashing. I don't want everybody to think I'm bashing. But I'm just trying to give an example of the way that I'm looking at this. So I'm just telling you, it's important to know what you're getting when you're getting it. I wouldn't go to
request references too. So, get referrals from your friends.
There you go.
There's also other resources. Just make sure it's a credible resource if you do go online. Wherever you like to go look for houses and stuff like that. Most third-party websites are just big box websites. They're not for your best interest. They're for their best interest. That's what Tyler's saying. So, go with your gut. Request references and
yeah, that's actually a big one, Chad. So one last thing on that is, and I know I'm beating this like a dead horse, but I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to references, let me explain something. It's not just about your friends and family, right? Look at if you worked with a realtor and you had a great experience with the realtor, ask that realtor for another realtor that may be in a different area. Maybe you're moving again to a whole nother state, because you don't know who you're dealing with in a whole nother state. But if that realtor can do, because like, for example, with the brokers I'm with, EXP, we're nationwide. We have people across the world. Really, actually, we're worldwide. But I'm just saying nation as far as
worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. But I mean, it's the concept, right? We can pick up a phone, talk to a couple different agents, and we can verify them, know who they are, see what kind of stuff, because we know where to look. You don't, and we do. So therefore, we can help you and know, because we know what we're looking for based on your circumstances without you even having to go spill your beans to 5 different agents trying to find one. We know what to look for. So again, going back to Chad's point, references, references, and references. So
Yeah.
now, Chad, let's switch gears to the seller side now, real quick. So, what are some things that you either see, haven't seen, or just was like, what is that?
For sellers, not too much on my side, I guess. Usually I get my leads for homes that people want to list from referrals. I haven't really received any leads for listings from Zillow or anything like that. Now maybe Google. Um, I've gotten a lead off of that as far as, a couple leads, I think, Google. But online is a little different when it comes to finding someone to list your home. You just kind of usually people do Google searches from what I've gathered, and they stumble on a brokerage website or a realtor's website. But again, the same scenarios with everything we've already discussed. Just on the, when you're ready to sell, just make sure you have, you read the contract, the listing agreement between you and the agent. Go with your gut. Interview at least 3 agents. Typically, that's what they say is a rule of thumb. You pick one out of that to list your home, and look at their experience, look at their knowledge of the market, and kind of go off of that. That's what I tell people.
So what are some? But like, I guess here's what I'm looking. Here's what I was looking at is more or less. It's like we've talked about brokerages. Like that was a whole different topic and how different brokerages work and so forth. So I'm not really going to go into that. But what I'm referencing is like, luckily enough for us, right, in our background, right, we have digital marketing. That's what we do. That's what we've done, right? So we have that background, right? So the question becomes is what does, when you're talking to an agent, right? Because if you're going with an agent, then you got to know what they're going to bring to the table to really do it. So think as it is, if you're actually, because you are essentially hiring somebody to do a job, right? And at the end of the day, this is the way I kind of look at things. Is that, and I've talked about this numerous times. Is I basically break it down into packages and what my percent is for this or that. But the goal here is, if I come in and let's just say Chad comes in, let me reverse this a second. Chad comes in and he says, "Yep, I'm going to sell your house, Mr. and Mrs. Smith," and that was it. That's all he said. He didn't say how. He didn't say what he was going to, he didn't lay out any type of plan. He just said, "Here's the contract, sign on the dotted line. I'm going to sell your house." Okay. And that's it, right? That's all you're walking out with. But with me, I kind of tell them, "Hey, this is what I do. This is how I'm going to do it." And, another thing, professional photos. A lot of realtors, they take their phone, they go out, take a picture of the house, upload it. Now, the problem that I have with that is that I've noticed that every time that I've done the professional photos, now keep in mind, I have my own camera I don't use my phone, is my point. I use a camera. Before I had hired professionals, I used my camera to get a photo. But now I've been hiring the professionals. Now, when they come in versus when I took it, wow, they got the lighting just right. The sun just moves off it. There's a reason why. Now, I've also seen, I kid you not, I've seen where somebody took a photo of the house. They got all the rooms. They go to the bathroom, and it's like they focused right in on the toilet. And I'm trying to figure out why they're focusing on the toilet. Did we miss something in this whole picture of just the toilet? That's what I was trying to figure out. So with that whole thing being part of it, I just kind of come into knowing that you're going to have somebody to market. And there's questions you should ask. How many houses have you sold? Because listen, they may be just sold land. And if they haven't, just because they haven't sold a house doesn't mean they're not good for the job. It just means that, hey, do you have the kind of help, right? Do you have somebody to help you do something? How many years experience does those people have? And these are questions you could ask before making a choice. And what do you bring that somebody else doesn't? These are all things that I tell people that you really need to think about and really think about before you pick it, because when you're doing a traditional way, it's a little different than some of the other ways of doing business, right? Because remember, you could be tied up in a contract and you're just sitting there. Like I know a lady, not my customer. I just happened to have a conversation, but they were looking to sell their place, but they want to sell it fast because of tax reasons. Well, the problem is that if you don't have the right people working to try to sell that fast and understand what that means, then you don't have the right people for the job, because something that said, if you need to sell that 2 or 3 weeks, you need to find the right realtor saying, hey, you got cash buyers. Hey, you got this. What kind of network do you have with cash buyers? But again, these are things, this is why we're having this podcast and discussion, because if you're trying to sell property fast and you're just wanting to get out squeaky clean, just pay off whatever you owe type of deal, those are deals that are great for cash buyers. And making sure you get a good cash buyer and making sure that it's not an assignable contract, which goes back to wholesaling, which eventually we're going to have a whole segment on this. But I just want to, these are all things that I look at from a bigger standpoint with everything. I mean, you agree on that, Chad, essentially with everything that I kind of covered there?
Yeah, I do. I think that there's a lot of opportunities. I've read that Orchard and bigger brokerages as well that have been doing this for several years already on the internet. They're starting to do something called salary-based real estate agents, like you talked about. Inman covered it, one of the editors I follow. And it's just something I think that it's all a means to an end is my new phrase this year. It's just all it all boils down to whatever you're comfortable with, however you want to approach it. But these are just the recommendations that we're seeing. Salary-based agents are not, like you said, they're not in it for the game. They're not in it for the hustle.
Like your
there's
shirt.
There's a lot of missed opportunities because you're going to end up hiring somebody that doesn't want to deal with it. They're going to end up hiring somebody that doesn't want
that too. Oh, and think about that. That brings me to one last thing that you just kind of brought up. I don't know if you heard me because you said the word hustle. I said like your shirt.
Yeah.
So I said, see, he's a hustler, guys. This is what salary-based people look like. We wear hustle shirts, so everybody knows. But anyways, so what I'll tell you is this. You brought up a thing. The last little thing I'll say is when you're also salaried. I mean, think about this for a second. That means they're an employee, and if their performance is not there, I'm not going to say if their performance is not there, it's going to be evaluated. They're going to go through this whole process, probably whatever their business model is, this, that, and the other. But it also that means they're going to be hiring and firing. So let's just say that you've worked with somebody. The only person that should be able to hire and fire is the buyer or the seller. Those are the two people that should be able to hire and fire. Because think about this: you're working you got comfortable with Chad. Chad's on the salary base, and he's been working with you trying to find a house for the last 2 months. And all of a sudden, you call Chad up to tell him and say, "Hey, we're gonna go." Next thing you know, Chad's like, "Oh, I don't work for them no more. I can't." We probably signed some kind of contract along the way that I can't even talk to you now. So I'm just saying that this is the way it works. People's got to think. Listen, the only person that should be making decisions is you, meaning the buyer or the seller, because you guys are in the driver's seat because we're here to serve you at the end of the day. And that's the goal, you know? So I say this, oh, and just, I want to throw this out here as a last little minute here. I know we're creeping up on our time, but I want to tell you that new construction site, I'm going to actually, I have it around here somewhere. I got to find the link. If you guys are in Southwest Florida, I have a website. You can go and look at all the new construction that's going on here in any, pretty much, you can fill out the form, you can do whatever, and basically I get in touch with you if you're interested. And I'll put that up on my Facebook. Chad, I think you're going to have the same thing because I'm going to share it with you so you can do Texas area.
Okay.
And Chad will have the same thing up on his Facebook probably later today at some point. And look for these things because we can help you. That's all we're here. I mean, I know we're not consistent with this right now in the time frame, but if you're seeing this right now, the idea is that this information, we're just trying to get it out to you as quickly as we can so you guys can get this information and actually learn from it or help somebody from it, whatever the case may be. So with that, I'll kind of digress from that standpoint. Chad, any last words?
No, I think I'm good. I think we covered quite a bit today.
All right, outstanding. So with that being said, thank you for listening to Big Green Real Estate Talk, and we look forward to having our next segment soon enough. Probably, I'm hoping next Thursday, but we'll keep you guys posted.
Sounds good. All right. Y'all have a great day.
All right, thank you.